Imagine having a flight simulator, but not for a plane. A flight simulator for any physical skill you want to master. What if you could practice a perfect golf swing, a complex piano piece, or nail a difficult dance move, all inside your head? Well, today, we're diving into a technique that pretty much makes this possible. It's called motor imagery. And yeah, it might sound like science fiction, but it's totally grounded in some fascinating neuroscience.
So let's just cut right to the chase with the big question. Can you actually, truly get better at a physical skill just by thinking about it? I mean, can mental reps alone make you a better athlete or a better musician? The answer, which is pretty amazing, is yes. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how that works.
All right, first up, let's step onto the mind's practice field. This is section 1, where we're going to see how you can get your practice in without ever lifting a finger. So what exactly is this technique? It's officially called Motor Imagery Technique, or MIT. And really, it's just the mental rehearsal of a physical action. You're creating this super detailed internal movie of a movement, but your body stays completely still. And this isn't just casual daydreaming. It's a focused, deliberate practice session that's all happening in your mind.
And here's the part that's just mind-blowing. When you mentally rehearse, say, kicking a soccer ball, your brain activity looks almost identical to when you actually kick the ball. The very same neural circuits fire up, making those connections stronger. You're literally training your brain for the real deal without moving a single muscle.
Okay, so we know the brain lights up like it's the real thing, but how does that actually work? What's going on in there? Let's get into the science in section 2 and see how your brain pulls off this incredible feat of rehearsal.
The whole thing hinges on a core scientific idea called functional equivalence. Now, that's a bit of a mouthful, but all it really means is that from your brain's perspective, imagining a movement is functionally the same as doing the movement. The patterns of brain activity are so similar, they're nearly interchangeable. And that's the secret sauce that makes this technique so powerful.
And we can actually see which parts of the brain are getting this workout. We're talking about the heavy hitters of physical movement, the motor cortex, which is like the command center sending out the signals, the premotor cortex, which plans the sequence of the movement, and the cerebellum, which is all about fine-tuning your coordination and balance. When you imagine an action, this entire network just lights up.
Now, a really important point here is that there are two main ways to do this. On one side, you've got visual imagery. That's literally seeing the action in your mind's eye. It can be first person, like you're looking out of your own eyes, or third person, like you're watching a movie of yourself. But then you have kinesthetic imagery, and this is where the magic really happens. This is all about feeling the movement from the inside, the tension in your muscles, the subtle shifts in balance, the flow of the action. For the best results, you really want to combine both.
Okay, the science is cool, but how do we actually do this? In section 3, we're going to get practical. Let's walk through the 5-step playbook for a perfect mental rep.
The process is actually pretty simple, and it breaks down into 5 key steps. You always start with relaxation. You got to clear your head and get focused. Then you set a very specific goal, like picturing one perfect tennis serve. Next is image creation, building that detailed scene in your head. The 4th step, and this is crucial, is sensory integration. You need to add the feeling of the racket, the sound of the ball hitting the strings. And finally, repetition. Just like physical practice, doing this consistently in short bursts is what builds the skill.
And that brings us to the number 1 rule of motor imagery. For this to really work, it can't be fuzzy or vague. The key is making the mental image as vivid, as detailed, and as realistic as you possibly can. You want your brain to be completely fooled into thinking it's the real deal.
Now, if you want to really supercharge your mental practice, there's a fantastic framework called the Pedal App Model. You can think of it as your ultimate checklist for realism. Are you imagining your physical posture, the actual environment? Is the task precise? Is the timing in real time? Are you learning from mental mistakes? Are you including the emotions of performance pressure? And what's your perspective? Hitting all these points makes your mental reps incredibly powerful.
So this all sounds great in theory, but who's actually using this stuff in the real world? Well, in section 4, you'll see that the applications are way broader than you might think, from the sports field all the way to the operating room. You can really find it in 3 major areas. In sports, it's pretty much a staple for elite athletes to sharpen their skills and build up that big game confidence. In rehabilitation, it actually helps patients who've had a stroke or an injury to reconnect their brain to their muscles, which can seriously speed up recovery. And then in pure skill learning, you have world-class musicians, dancers, and even surgeons using it to practice those incredibly complex and precise movements.
And the benefits are huge. When you look at the data, the biggest impact, about 40%, is on pure motor performance. But look at the rest. It also speeds up how fast you learn a new skill, it boosts your confidence and focus, and it provides a real, measurable boost to injury recovery. It's an amazing all-around tool.
Okay, but here comes the really important reality check. I've got to be super clear about this. Motor imagery is an incredibly powerful supplement. It enhances and accelerates physical practice, but it does not replace it. The magic happens when you combine both mental and physical training. That's where you'll see the biggest gains.
All right, in our final section, let's bring all these pieces together. We're going to walk through one very clear example to see what this looks like in action from start to finish.
Let's imagine you're practicing a basketball free throw. So first, you'd step up to the line and just relax, calming your breath. Then you'd visualize the whole scene, the ball, the hoop, the feel of the court under your feet. Then you bring in that kinesthetic feeling, the texture of the ball on your fingertips, your feet planted solidly. Then you imagine the entire shooting motion, not in slow-mo, but in real time. And finally, you see and feel that perfect result, the ball swishing clean through the net. And then, you just repeat that sequence. That right there is a perfect mental rep.
And so that brings us to the final question. And this one is really all about you. We've gone through the what, the why, and the how of motor imagery. So now I want you to think about your own life. What skill, what upcoming performance, or what recovery goal will you apply this incredible tool to?